This episode of Family Trips is brought to you by Nissan. Nissan SUVs have the capabilities to take your adventure to the next level. Learn more at NissanUSA.com. Hi, Bashi.
Hi, Sufi.
Well, Mom and Dad visited this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Can I just tell you? Exceptional work.
Oh, yeah?
I feel as though maybe some of our notes about their visits have been getting through to them via the podcast.
Uh-huh. How so? Like what specifically? Anything specific?
Nothing spilled.
Oh.
Dry as a bone. That's what I would call the floors of our home after Mom and Dad left. Dry as a bone. Also, they brought an A-plus toy for the boys.
Oh, I heard about this.
Yeah, I don't know what the name of it is, and I apologize to the manufacturers because I'm sure they're listening, and I'm sure they're going to say that's one of ours. It's basically just plastic tubes with a air machine that shoots air, and you feed balls into the machine, and they shoot them through the tubes. But you can make loop-de-loops, and it's great.
Oh, that's awesome. I remember we had a toy, some Christmas I got this toy that was like, you built your own roller coaster, and then you drop a marble in it, and you'd sort of...
Yes, it's very much that. And weirdly, they have a marble toy, and then because of that, the boys keep calling these things marbles, even though they're clearly balls, and it's driving me crazy because they call them marbles. Also, there's 20 of these little foam balls, and let me tell you, if there's something my wife likes, it's toys with a lot of different pieces. She likes when they can roll and get underneath stuff and stay there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure this toy, whatever it's called, sells new packs of balls. And they would be delighted to have your money.
I mean, I actually think 20 was a little over the top. I think 5 would have been the right amount of balls. But anyway, it was a really good weekend. Like I said, they did fantastic work. I will also say they listened to a couple family trips on the way out.
Uh-huh.
Mom and Dad,
yeah,
love the podcast. You know that, right?
Big fans. They're big fans, and they're great guests.
They're great guests, and because they're such great guests, I think that sometimes they're a little unkind to our other guests.
Oh.
I'm not going to name names, but they gave one of them a B+ and another one a D-. I
can't wait to find out who.
Yeah. I'm not going to name names now, but I thought that was a little unfair.
Yeah. It was a D-? D-. Wow.
I was taken aback. I mean, again, that's with the great inflation of you and I, it being our podcast.
Yeah. It's almost more of an insult to give someone a D- than an F.
It's almost the only reason they give them an F is because that person gave an hour to their sons.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
Also, we've talked about, we are a gateway drug to Dad and other podcasts.
Oh, is he listening to more pods?
Yeah, because he'd never listened to podcasts before this podcast. And then he reached out to you and asked you to name other podcasts.
Yeah. I told him a couple off the top of my head. And then he was like, put them in an email.
Yeah. Larry Myers doesn't get a pen.
And I was like, all right, I'll Google what are some great podcasts out there. I've made some good recommendations. I hope they're listening.
Yeah. He would like, if there's anyone out here, he would like you to know that the New York Times does one called The Daily. He wants to hip everybody to that.
Yeah.
He likes it. And then he said he was listening to one.
Of ours or a different one?
A different podcast. And again, not going to name names. And he said, I like that one. And then I thought it got a little repetitive. And I said, I sometimes, I worry because we're about family trips. Do you ever find that this podcast gets repetitive? And he said it doesn't. But he feels it's very important to stay focused on the trips.
Oh, yeah.
And then I said, we are trying to do that. But at the same time, Josh has come to the conclusion that maybe he was a little bit of a topic scold.
Yeah.
I feel like you've loosened up a little bit.
To a degree. I mean, it's it's still inside me. It's still a simmering.
Yeah.
I'm a simmering ball of let's get back to
Let's get back to the trips, as you like to say.
Yeah. Give me them trips.
Give me them trips. If we do start selling sweatshirts and stuff, I feel like boilerplate, you want a family trips one.
Uh-huh.
And then maybe a different one, if you were looking for sort of a more niche sweatshirt, would be maybe your face with a voice bubble saying, let's get back to the trips.
Yeah. And then there'd be like a Seth version of that, and that's a picture of Lorne Michaels at a house in St. Bart's.
Yeah.
And tell that story again.
It would be me.
Everyone loves talking about Lorne Michaels and St. Bart's.
It would be like one of the thought bubbles of just Lorne at St. Bart's, and then my voice bubble would be me saying, wait, what were you guys talking about? I'd lost the topic because I would just be thinking about Lorne on his nice vacation. Yeah, but really, really good work, Mom and Dad. Oh, also, we went bowling.
Oh, yeah.
The boys got invited to a bowling birthday party, which is great. So I got to bring Ash and Axel and Mom and Dad. Perfect.
Yeah. Mom has been in bowling leagues.
Yes, but here's the problem. Mom has been in a candlepin bowling league. Now, for those of you who have not spent any time in New England, candlepin bowling, they're very small. Think of a very heavy softball. Would that be about right?
Yeah, that feels right.
And smaller pins. And so, again, no holes. You've got a ball in your hand, you roll it. There's no holes for your fingers. Now, again, I get that candlepin bowling is the bowling she grew up on, but everything about this bowling alley, which is how bowling looks in every TV show and movie you've ever seen.
Yeah.
From Happy Days to Big Lebowski, there's been bowling balls with holes. She walked in and was just like, huh, what? Like, just everything about it was. And I'm just, come on.
Right.
And also, I feel like the important thing to teach children is when something is new, you want to just be shocked out of your mind. Also, she puts her 3 fingers on. First roll breaks 3 fingernails.
This is funny. I spoke to her earlier. She said she broke 4.
Yeah, I think
but there's only 3. There's only 3 holes. So
yeah, I'm wondering if she was trying to cycle in a different finger at some point. I showed you a photo. First round.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this is hard to do in bowling.
Yeah.
She got 25 points. I mean, that's a low bowling score.
Yeah, it's really hard to do that.
To get that low. And then Axel, granted, bumpers up for Axel. But again, he's 5. He got like a 98.
Yeah.
So 25 is tough. She got better this second round.
Oh, that's good. I heard Dad suggested she use bumpers, and she was insulted by that.
Yeah, she was insulted by that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, again, she's insulted by anything that begins with Dad said. She also kept saying, it's not my game. And it's just really funny that anybody would think it would be her game.
Yeah.
But it was great. And there was a nice bar on site.
Oh, that always does well.
Yeah, middle of a Saturday afternoon, to be having a couple cold ones, bowling with the kids.
Yeah. And if you're having a bad round of bowling, a nice stiff cocktail might be just what you need to get you back on track.
Axel bowled so slow that he would roll the ball and then totally lie on his back with his hands interlocked behind his head and sort of lift his head up to watch it.
Like he was catching some rays?
Catching some rays and maybe watching a dog catch a Frisbee down a beach. But a real solid weekend. And again, top to bottom, can't say enough about their visit.
Great.
It was just great. And it's great to see them, and it's great to have them around their kids. They got very quality time with all 3. So it was outstanding.
Awesome.
And now, speaking about outstanding, our friend Rachel Bilson joins the pod.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she was a lot of fun to talk to, and I think you're going to enjoy listening to her. But first, who do you think we should listen to? Knowing Rachel as you know her now, who would you recommend as the singer-songwriter to lead us into that conversation?
Probably the dude from Wilco.
Oh, yeah.
Jeff Tweedy.
Oh, yeah, Jeff Tweedy. Perfect.
Yeah.
Give a listen.
Family trips with the Myers brothers. Family trips with the Myers brothers. Here we go.
Hi, Rachel.
Hi there.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, my God. I almost wore a very similar hat to you, Rachel, and I wish I had.
I thought you were going to say sweater, and
Yeah.
then we really would have been twins. That would have been cute.
Yeah. Seth doesn't really do the deep V that often, but when he does,
Yeah.
it is
worth it.
Yeah, it turns
Deep
heads.
V is a strong choice all across the board. I agree.
We always like it when we get to talk to a fellow podcast host. You've been in the
Oh.
game for a while.
Yeah, but you put the pressure on me, and now I'm like, I'm just going to really let you down.
No.
But no, I have a question, though. A genuine question. Do you feel
Yes.
more relaxed when you're about to be a guest on a podcast or when you're about to host your own podcast?
I think relaxed when you're a guest because you're like, okay, you guys have to do the hard work.
I agree. Yeah.
We have
I
to
can just
drive.
sit here. Yeah, you have to drive the car, you know?
Yeah.
I had a lovely time doing your podcast, Broad Ideas, with your dear friend, Olivia.
Yes. Thank you. We loved having you on. It was a really fun conversation.
It was a very fun conversation. I feel like it touched on a lot of things I haven't talked about, which is always nice. But I want to say Broad Ideas is a really good name for a podcast. Which one of you came up with it? And did you know when you came up with it that it was A+?
That it was A+. I mean, I think we're still working on that. I forget. We're a big fan of puns, you know, or other meanings, whatever. What's the word for like words that there's like a fancy word for it?
Yeah. We'll just do puns.
Similes? Homonyms? Oh, boy.
I just figured you'd come up with something that sounded really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we were just toying around with things and we liked the double meaning behind it.
It's a good one.
If there was a gentleman at a restaurant and came over to like you and you were with a couple of your gal pals and he was like, hey, could I buy you broads a drink? Would you appreciate that? Maybe more so because of the podcast?
Yeah, you know, I'm thinking without the podcast, like how does that come across?
Because not well, I don't think.
And you're like a speakeasy and you're like, listen, broads, let me get you a mint julep and you know, and it's like.
At a speakeasy might be the only place I'd be comfortable saying broads.
Yeah.
And even then I would be on eggshells on the approach.
Yeah, well, it's a really, you know, it's a tough environment for any language. So I think speaking to a lady, what is the correct way?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we can bring broads back. I think we should try.
It's a safe one?
Yeah.
I think it's a safe one. Well, I do think there's a whole generation of younger gentlemen who perhaps watched Broad City, perhaps hip to your podcast, and they might think, you know what? This word has been positively reclaimed by female creators, and I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to start saying it with the respect that it deserves.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's underused, I think.
Yeah, it is underused.
Yeah.
Now, you grew up in Los Angeles.
I did.
You were a showbiz family.
Yep.
Do you feel like because of that, when you talk to other people who are non-showbiz, do you feel like their upbringing was completely different from yours, or do you feel like you also kind of got a classic upbringing?
I think there's a combination. And it's actually funny that you say this because it also will eventually, as we get to talking family trips, it kind of goes hand in hand with a certain trip, and I'll get there. I think I had a mixture of both. My parents were very like, you're going to be a kid. You're going to do the kid thing. When you get old enough and decide if you want to do this, fine. But then there were also like the things like my dad making projects and then I'm going to different locations while he's filming and I'm on sets. And so I think that is probably not the norm.
Yes.
You know, like knowing
definitely.
what craft service is at like 3 years old, probably not common. Also awesome, though, because the snacks.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, it was definitely a mixture. But I for sure did the school thing, did the get in trouble thing, experiment thing, and then decided, you know what? Maybe I want to act. But that was like after high school.
Gotcha. So it's so funny that craft service thing, because even when the few times my boys have come to the show, we just, in that way that I think, well, maybe that's not true. I was going to put it on show business, but I think a lot of offices have just jars of candy for adults to eat during the day, which is the dumbest thing in the world. Nobody is more productive.
Yeah. And for anyone that doesn't know, like when you're working on something, like there will be a meal and there's like a proper meal and there's time carved out for it. But in between those meals, there is a station. Sometimes it's a cart, sometimes it's a truck, sometimes it's a corner of a studio where there is truly like you could make every meal there, but there's every kind of candy imaginable and snack and chip. And it is so hard to not just eat all day. And I imagine like if you were seeing those as a 3-year-old, it must have blown your mind.
Oh, yeah. It still does. I'm like, I have a real thing for Flaming Hot Cheetos. And let me tell you, the abundance of Flaming Hot on these tables. Huge fan.
Yeah. Do you put a glove on when you eat them? Like if you're working?
God. It's a whole thing. I know.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
Because like wardrobe or makeup would just be terrified
they
seeing
don't
you
love
eating
me.
Flaming Hot Cheetos.
Yeah. They do not love me on set.
Yeah.
It seems like there should be a little bit more craft services should work in concert with the wardrobe department, the makeup department, and not have even the option of flaming hot dustings.
I might revolt, but yeah, you're not
yeah,
wrong.
that's true.
Yeah.
You'd walk right off set. That was what a lot of the SAG strike was about. That
That was the main thing. I don't know if they solved it either.
No, I think they did. They still have flaming hots. Yeah.
I went off to do my first movie, and I remember coming back to the OC at the time that I was on, and the craft service was so monumentally like, let me make you a smoothie, and like fancy, right? And I remember coming back to the OC and going to like our crafty guys, and I was like, you guys, can you make me a smoothie? And they were like, fuck no. Like, absolutely not.
I'm shocked because that is sort of heyday network television. OC's a hit. I would have guessed a Fox show like that would have had over the moon craft service, but the movie was better.
Listen, I'm not shitting on our craft service people. They were amazing. They were so nice. So many sandwiches. I just remember being like, I was made a smoothie. And it was like the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. And, but they were great. I've had very good craft service experiences across the board, you guys.
Yeah, let it be known. Yeah,
let it be known. From flaming hots to smoothies.
Yeah.
You've done it all.
All.
Your career has spread the breadth of craft service options.
That is how I look at my career and reflect. It's all through the craft service experiences on every set.
Is it correct that you have 2 sets of half siblings?
When you put it that way, yes. I grew up with my brother. Like, my brother's my brother, even though biologically we have different fathers. And then I have 2 very much younger half sisters. They're 22 and 16. So, and my brother's older.
Oh, gotcha. So you and your half brother are close in age.
Yes, we're 4 years apart, but we grew up, same household together.
So that's a regular sibling. There you go.
Yes, he's a reg.
And when you guys grew up, was that then the 4 of you were going on trips together?
Yes. My parents were together till I was 9. So for those 9 years, it was the 4 of us doing the family vacations. And the one, because I was thinking about it, and I'm like, God, I have to like go down that hole of trips and things. And there's one like really big one. It was like a road trip in one of those VW buses, with like the pop-up bunk bed that my brother and I had to share. And we were on our way to Jackson Hole, Wyoming. So we did this whole road trip as a family. There's pictures. I refused to wear a shirt when I was 5. I was 5. So all my pictures are I'm in a skirt and desert boots, and that's it.
Oh, great.
A flasher. I don't know.
A look.
Clearly it paved the way for my career.
It was like Joshua Tree chic before Joshua Tree chic was a thing.
Oh, I Burning Man'd it up before Burning Man was a thing. Okay?
Yeah.
At 5 years old. So what's funny is we do this whole trip, and it's so memorable. It was so much fun just being in this camper van, and just really, and it was brown with like orange and yellow stripes, like super 70s, flannel plaid everywhere. But the funniest thing is we were on the road to go to Jackson Hole because my dad was shooting a movie. So he wrote and directed this movie called The Wrong Guys, okay? And the people in it were Louis Anderson, Richard Lewis, Richard Belzer, John Goodman. Okay, it was like, comedian heaven, actor heaven, Ernie Hudson. There were so many people in this movie. And what I remember we had a condo in Jackson Hole, and it was over the summer, and I turned 6. It was my birthday, and my birthday party was literally me, Richard Lewis, Richard Belzer, Louis Anderson. These were the guests at my 6th birthday party. So like when you were saying like, grew up in showbiz, whatever, and I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, oh my God, those were like the people I celebrated my 6th birthday with. Like, they would have got party favors. Like, those were my friends.
Yeah. Were you guys playing like pin the tail on the donkey? Did you have were there games?
I want to say yes. Absolutely. Yeah. I feel like, I remember there were M&Ms. Like, these are the things in my mind. There was a bowl of M&Ms and Richard Lewis. So, I mean,
It's really funny because in a way you think about, a really connected showbiz family. You hear the stories. They got Taylor Swift to come to their daughter's bat mitzvah. Like, no 6-year-old was ever, I want Belzer. I want Lewis. I want all the sort of mid-'80s stand-ups. That's who I want.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of iconic, though, like, looking back, because I hadn't thought about that at all, you guys. And knowing I was going to talk to you, I was like, oh, my God. not many 6-year-olds can say,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an incredible list for a 6-year-old birthday party. And I bet it was the only, not only was that the only film they all did together, that was the only birthday party they ever all appeared at.
Do you know
Oh
if you
my
have
God.
pictures from that party? Do you know?
I'm going to ask. There has
Yeah.
to be, unless my parents were just assholes and didn't document my birthday, which
Right.
is possible. But
Yeah.
The worst would be if there was tons of pictures, but it's just of the celebs and none of you.
right. It's none of me. It's literally like my dad, just him and, all the celebrities.
When you drove up there, did you camp along the way? Because you can't do Jackson Hole in a
Yeah.
straight shot, I wouldn't think. Or do you go to a hotel? Or do you remember? Do you recall?
We stopped. We did Yellowstone for sure.
Okay.
Yosemite, Yellowstone. No, it was Yellowstone.
Okay.
You
Yeah,
know,
I mean,
it's
they're the Y ones.
they're the Y ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely did that. There's pictures of that. So everything I can remember through photographs, and I can picture us in Yellowstone for sure. So we definitely camped. I feel like there may be a horse picture somewhere
Yeah.
along the road.
I got to give it up to your father because I feel like if you were about to direct a movie, it would be hard to be like, but right before we do it, I'm going to go into Yellowstone with my family for however many days you were there and just forget myself.
Yeah, I would have to imagine he did it like way far in advance, but it's
Okay.
possible he didn't. I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought that the whole time, Josh. I was thinking, I'm so impressed with the kind of father. If I have something coming a week away, I feel like I can't fully focus on being a parent. So I'm very impressed with this.
I'll have to ask him.
Although I kind of thought when you said a horse that it was maybe that you went horseback riding, but then when you said there's just a picture of the horse on the side of the road, maybe it was a little more slapdash than we're giving him credit.
Maybe it was just a straight shot, and in my mind, I thought we did all these things, and
Yeah.
he just
Yeah.
like superimposed us in front of like geysers at Yellowstone and all of that.
He used the movie department, like the many
did. He was
departments
like-
on the.
Yes, special effects. I need a favor.
Years from now, I want my daughter to look back and see that she went to Yellowstone when in fact we went nowhere near it.
Yeah.
Did you do a lot of travel that was based on your dad directing films on location?
Yeah. So another trip we went to Rome. He did this other movie. Oh God, Zone Troopers. Okay, it was like
What's it called?
Zone Troopers.
Okay.
The funniest thing is, this sounds so. I never talk about this stuff, and like when I say certain things, like I feel like Quentin Tarantino. I don't know if you've heard of him. He
Yes.
was a big fan of this movie and has talked about it. So that's why people may have heard of it. And it's kind of like a sci-fi World War II, like weird. I've never seen it because I was 3. But we did. We went to Rome and we were there for like 3 months. And he was shooting that movie there. I'd have to look at the cast list. I feel like Tim Van Patten. That's a name.
I'm going to look it up because I'm so excited about
Okay, you can
the
look it
idea
up.
of this movie.
Anyway,
Okay, good.
and I was 3 and we lived in an apartment. And so, it was a lot of Italian language, obviously. That sounds like a stupid comment. And there was a little boy I was friends with. And so everyone would refer to him. They'd be like, Louis, Louis, Louis. Well, I thought his name was Louis, but it turns out Louis means him in Italian. So the whole time I was just calling him, my best friend, while we were in Italy.
Yeah.
Louis. Guys,
Sweet little Louis.
as we're talking about all this and I'm like thinking about all of it, I'm like, oh, this makes so much that I am the way that I am. All these experiences.
I am currently looking. I went to the IMDb page for Zone Troopers,
Yeah.
and a clip of the film starts playing, and I am desperate to watch this film. Here's the tagline, Posh. In Italy during World War II, some American soldiers find an alien UFO. And I think that's all we need to know. Go check
all we
out
need to
Danny
know.
Bilson's
Right?
Zone
That's
Zone
great.
Troopers.
Did he write and direct these, do you think?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think he was like, I want to go to Jackson Hole and I'd like to go to Italy for a while?
I mean, honestly, yeah. As you're saying it, of course, like these locations, clearly
Yeah.
it seems like I'm only doing this so I can travel and live here for a little while because
I mean, 3 months in Italy is fantastic.
Yeah.
And did your mother enjoy that? Did she like sort of being away?
So my mother is from Italian descent.
Oh,
So we brought
okay.
my grandparents.
Wow.
Oh yeah, it was a whole thing, which was so sweet. The whole troop got to go.
Yeah.
And I remember the strollers. Like I have visions of like there was a red stroller and a blue stroller. And Tim Thomerson,
Yes.
he was in it, and his wife and his son, who I was also friends with, we both had these matching strollers, except one was blue and one was red. And I remember at first I was like adamant. I'm like, I need the red stroller. I was 3. I was like, I need the red one. This is mine. Cut to halfway through the trip, I was like, give me that blue stroller. Like I threw
of course.
these are my memories. I remember throwing a fit at 3 years old because I now needed the blue one.
Yeah.
You know, like a little tyrant. And I'm like, how did I get away with that?
I heard a story that craft services watched you have that. They're like, just mark my words, 20 years from now, she's going to want a smoothie. She's going to be over here demanding a smoothie from us.
She's going to demand that girl who's demanding the blue stroller 100%.
So I have a question.
Yes.
Josh and I, every vacation I took with our parents, I felt like they acted like people who were about to get divorced. They're still together. Did you, you were 9 when your parents got divorced. Did you ever, was it something that you ever saw? Do you feel like as a kid being young? And because I feel like parents sometimes are the most stressed out on vacations.
Yeah. And being a parent now, we can relate to that, right?
Of
Because it's always like,
Yes. My wife just went on a trip and left me at home with the kids, and it's the least I ever felt like we were going to get divorced. We were in 2 different places.
Yeah, you're like, this is amazing.
This
Good
is
for her,
great.
by the way.
She's having a good time. I'm like managing.
Barely managing. Yeah. You know what's so funny is I don't remember my parents being stressed. My biggest memory is like my dad loved to always like take pictures of my mom's butt. Like I have so many memories of like he thought it was hilarious, always filming her walking. And there's like so many pictures in our family photos of my mom's butt. And like more than the kids.
Yeah.
So maybe it was the opposite, but that's probably more telling because they divorced a few years later. So the fighting probably is a better sign than what I had.
I do feel like maybe at one point during a fight, your mom yelled, "I'm more than just a butt." And that.
She still does.
She still does.
Yes.
I'm a whole person.
Yes.
Did your mother's parents, your grandparents, did they live close to you in LA? Were they?
No, they're from Philly. So my mom's from Philly. But I was still so close to them. We saw them a lot. We did a lot of trips with them as well. And my cousins and my aunt and my uncle, they all live in Tennessee. So like we would all try to like come together, either East Coast, West Coast. I remember doing a big trip to Georgia. I feel like we drove from Tennessee to Georgia and we went to like this place called Callaway Gardens. I don't even know if it still exists. It was like this is a really weird, it sounds like a weird choice.
I don't know. I mean, it sounds lovely so far, but keep going on Callaway Gardens.
Callaway Gardens. And I remember my grandparents being there and I remember us going to this restaurant called the Gingerbread House. And we're like, oh my God, that's so cute. Let's go eat there. This is my memory of this trip. And we all still talk about it. It was the worst food you've ever eaten in your life. It was horrific. And we called her Mom, my grandmother. She ordered the club sandwich and she was delighted. She had the best sandwich she's ever had. And she said, you guys, whenever in doubt, order a club sandwich.
Oh, that's a good life lesson.
Good advice.
I don't think that's wrong.
I know. Although I'm like, well, the meat is questionable, because it's not, you never know. But that's what she got. And it was great. And we all go by that.
Yeah.
Mamon? Wait, what would you?
Mom and Pop were my grandparents.
That's good.
All right. Our mother had a Pop and a Nani for her grandparents. Yeah.
When my first was born, I asked my parents what they wanted to be called. And do you remember what Mom wanted?
More. Which is the Swedish sort of grandma. And my mother certainly has some Swedish heritage, but we've never flexed on it at all. And she was going to flex so hard. And it was a term that none of us had ever heard. It wasn't like we remembered like, oh, remember that movie, My Life as a Dog, that was so important to us. Like there was no connection. She was just like, I think more. And it was like, what?
I mean, it's pretty good.
And we shot it right down. I said, I'm not learning a thing I've never said. I'm just not doing it.
Wait, so what do they call your parents?
Well, what did Dad want to be called also?
Oh, and my dad wanted to be called Cisco.
What? Like the thong song?
Oh, that would be great if it was for the thong song.
Yeah. He, much like your dad, he's pretty pro butts. And it was from the Cisco Kid, which was an old Western show.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And he just thought, it'd be funny. He thought it'd be funny. So I was like, what do you guys want to be called? And they were like, more and Cisco. I'm like, you are officially out of this conversation. It will not be up to you.
More and Cisco is pretty epic.
It would be really funny if they called Cisco. But my son couldn't say grandparents. And so he said Ponkas for grandparents. And so we loved Ponkas, and it was, he came to it organically. So we just call them collectively the Ponkas.
They're just called the Ponkas?
Yeah, it's like the Ponkas are coming this weekend, and they get really excited that the Ponkas are coming.
But when they're addressing them, like if they want, your mom to hand them something, it's like, hey, the Ponka, can I have that juice?
It's Ponka Yeri, which is my dad, who's a Larry, and Ponka Hurry, which is my mom, who's a Hillary. So Ponka Hurry and Ponka Yeri.
That is the cutest thing I've ever heard.
It's pretty good. And by the way, so much better than, you guys know More and Cisco.
Oh my God. More Cisco. I can't. It's like your dad living out his lifelong dream of like being in a Western or something.
Yeah,
That's
exactly. Waiting until he's like a 70-plus-year-old man. He's like, I'm the Cisco kid.
It's so amazing, though.
We also, very, very strangely, we used to call our dad Daddy Boy, and still kind of do, or D Boy.
Okay.
When Dad was pushing Cisco, I was walking up the street in Los Angeles, and someone had spray painted on the sidewalk, "Who is Cisco D-Boy?" And I was like, what? Like, these are...
You're like, I know him.
It's my father.
I can answer, yeah.
It's my dad. Very strange.
That is that's a sign.
Yeah.
If I've ever heard one. I think you should change it, and I think he should now be Cisco. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Guys, Callaway Resort and Gardens is still a place in Pine Mountain, Georgia.
It is in Georgia, right?
And it says,
it's like gardens.
It's in Georgia, yeah. And it says on its website, it says we're known for our club sandwich and nothing else. So,
and nothing else. Forget the flowers. It's all about the club.
Yeah. The menu now just club. I think they learned a lesson, and they're not even going to try anything else.
Mom told them.
Hey, we're going to take a quick break and hear from some of our sponsors.
This episode of Family Trips is brought to you by Nissan.
Hey, Poshy, ever wonder what's around that next corner? What happens if you push further?
Seth, I know that's something you ask me every day.
Sure do, because your answers are unsatisfactory to me. Nissan, on the other hand, gives us the answer, and that's why we're excited to partner with Nissan, because Nissan SUVs have the capabilities to take your adventure to the next level.
Sufi, we love celebrating family adventures on this podcast called Family Trips. So take a Nissan Rogue, Nissan Pathfinder, or Nissan Armada and go find your next big adventure.
With the 2024 Nissan Rogue, the class exclusive Google built-in is your always updating assistant to call on for almost anything. No need to connect your phone as Google Assistant. Google Maps and Google Play Store are built right into the 12.3-inch HD touchscreen infotainment system on the 2024 Nissan Rogue.
So thanks again to Nissan for sponsoring this episode of Family Trips. Now go find your next big adventure and enjoy the ride along the way. Learn more at nissanusa.com.
This episode is brought to you by U.S. Bank. I'm a foodie to the core. Whether it's in the kitchen, trying out a new recipe, or end-of-the-year lists, I get so excited, Poshy.
Yeah.
When the New York Times prints best restaurants in the city, make a list, try to spend the rest of the year hitting them all. And now, with the U.S. Bank Altitude Go Visa signature card, I can earn 4 times points when you go out dining or order takeout and restaurant delivery. Plus, earn 2 times points when you shop for or order your groceries. Think of all the rewards you'll earn every time you make your favorite meals or dine out.
The Altitude Go card also earns 2 times points at gas stations and EV charging stations, as well as on streaming services. It's going to be a lot of dining out for me, with mom and dad coming in town for the holidays. And it's going to be nice because the whole time I'm going to be acting like I'm just buying them dinner, I'm really going to be getting myself some points.
And are you excited to bring mom and dad out to restaurants with the industrial flashlight they now bring to read the menu?
Yeah.
Go to usbank.com/altitudego to learn more about how you can earn 20,000 bonus points worth $200 if you spend $1,000 in the first 90 days of opening your account. Eat in or eat out with the U.S. Bank Altitude Go Visa signature card. Visit usbank.com/altitudego to apply.
Limited time offer. The creditor and issuer of this card is U.S. Bank National Association pursuant to a license from Visa USA Incorporated. Some restrictions may apply.
Here we go.
So you had extended family in Tennessee. You said some aunts and uncles and cousins. And so how big would you be when you were all together in terms of party size?
My aunt and uncle have 3 kids and my first cousins who were all very close. 3 cousins, and then my brother and I, and my mom, and my dad, and then our grandparents. So I mean, I can't do the math, but
Yeah.
it's like
Sounds like 12-ish.
50.
a gaggle.
Yeah.
Yes,
I mean, it's a gaggle.
12-ish.
It's a full
Yes,
gaggle.
Yeah.
a little gaggle.
And so would all of you like go stay at the same hotel, Callaway Gardens or wherever you were going, and sort of set up shop for a week or a long weekend?
We did, yeah. Oh, wait. So every year we go to the same place where my family, my aunt and uncle have a house. I won't say specifically where, but Jersey Shore-ish.
Okay,
Oh,
great.
nice. Mhm.
Yeah.
Not what you when you think of Jersey Shore, but you know.
Yeah.
And every year we go, and now we all have kids. So now it's turned into all of us. It's like an old Victorian house from the 1800s, and it's haunted, by the way.
Oh,
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I stay in the haunted brass bedroom. More on that later.
please.
And we all go every June. And now that we have all our kids, it's literally so between us. Oh, here goes the math again. She has 3. She has 2. I have 5. Okay. 6. And then the neighbors across the street who are like family. There's basically like 10 kids running around. Now my brother has a baby, so then we're adding another one this year. What's so cool is like they're never like watching TV. They're out in the street on their bikes, making up games, throwing the ball, chasing the lightning bugs. We're at the beach all day. You know, there's arcades, you walk the boardwalk, like all of it. And it is so special. And now my daughter, since we do it every year, it's become her tradition. She gets so excited because like right when school gets out, we kind of go there for like 10 days and we're all together. And it's so awesome.
That's great.
And what is the age range of that whole group of kids?
So now we have our 7-month-old baby up into 15 years
Oh,
old.
that's so exciting because your daughter's sort of right in the middle. And
She's
that just
9.
must be so exciting to have older cousins.
Oh, yeah. Especially her older cousin who's 12, who's a girl, you know. So she wants
Yeah.
to just fit in with that because then the best friend across the street is like 13 and they're all, you know, she's just wants to be a cool girl. And that was me.
Is the 12-year-old cousin nice to her 9-year-old cousin?
I would say a few years ago, it was touchy,
Mhm.
a little tough, but we've turned a corner. Last year was kind of turning a corner where her and her best friend across the street kind of brought Briar in to the trio. And so across the street neighbors, when I was a kid and we would go, my older cousin, who I always looked up to, it was her best friend across the street, and they would take me under their wings. And like we'd go to the parties that were happening, you know, they were taking me around.
It's so funny as a parent of a daughter now, and I have my daughter Addie has an older cousin Agnes by a couple of years, and again they're, you know, at this point 5 and 2, but I can just tell it's going to happen because she already is clocked. I want to hang out with her, and I know at some point I'm going to say, Agnes, you have to take Addie with you. And then 2 years later, I'm going to be like, you have to stop hanging out with Agnes. Like, I just know.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
exactly it. It goes like this. It's like a roller coaster, right? Up and down. And it's going to be both of those things for sure.
That must be so nice to have a destination that your daughter looks forward to going to that you also like.
Oh my God. It's really just the coolest thing. Like we already have all our tickets booked. You know, it's the one thing we all do together every year.
And you can all be in that same house?
Most of us. But now that
Yeah.
my brother added a baby, they're getting their own place because they have
Sure.
a baby and, you know.
Yeah.
But we all make it work. And there's like a super scary attic that has a bunch of beds in it. Now we put all the kids up there
Uh-huh.
Great.
because it's an old house. And so where the house is, there was like the biggest hotel. I want to say, no, don't quote me on it, but I feel like in the world at the time, Mount Vernon Hotel, and it burnt down. And there were people that died in the fire, that perished in the fire.
Mhm.
And I'm convinced that there's a little girl ghost in the room that my daughter and I sleep in. We call it the brass bedroom, which is fitting.
Wow.
Have you both seen the ghost?
I don't let her in on this information because I don't think
Okay.
it would sit well. She's
Okay.
sensitive.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's just a feeling. Like I just
Okay.
think
Yeah.
she's there with us.
But you haven't heard anything or seen anything. It's more of a sense.
People have heard and seen things in the attic
Okay. Where you put all the kids.
where we put all the kids. We've heard murderous scenes.
The kids have heard, and again, I'm paraphrasing, they've heard a child's voice say, I died in a fire and I live here now.
Yes, and that's where we put all the children.
That's great. And so, see, a Victorian house by a beach, this seems like a really nice vibe. Does it have like a I feel like ramshackle has a negative connotation, but I think like a beach house, sometimes you want it to feel a little lived in, right? It's not a fancy old house where you have to.
It's very lived in, cozy.
That's great.
Cozy
yeah,
vibes.
Cozy.
Yeah.
The stairs are the steepest stairs you've ever seen. I don't know why they built houses like this in the 1800s, you guys, but like it's like a ladder.
Yeah.
Climbing up to the second story. It has all of that. They did add an addition years and years, like probably at least 20 years ago. So there's like a newer part of the house. And my uncle passed away a couple years ago. So we're sad that he can't be there with us anymore.
Sure.
But we all still go, and he's buried there. My grandparents are buried there.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah. And my grandparents used to vacation in this same town when they were kids. And my pop, his family had houses there. And we're so mad they didn't keep them, because let me tell you, this was like prime beachfront, massive Victorians. And we're like, why did you?
Yeah.
We could have owned the town. But, he did not pull the trigger on some houses.
We spend the summer with my wife's family, and the same thing's happening. Like my wife, and she and I have kids, and her friends that she used to spend the summers with have kids, and I just think she's in the best time of her life, which is her parents are still around and getting to be grandparents, and then also there's this whole generation underneath them, and it is that thing of like having a thing your kids look forward to all year is so nice.
It's so cool. It's really nostalgic, and I feel like especially today in this day and age with all the technology and the social media and like all the crap, right, that's out there and the school drama and whatever, but just to know you have that like really special time with your family for the kids. And it's really old school. It's really classic. Like I said, till dark. They're out after dark playing these games they make up with the ball. Briar comes home with scars all over the, she's fallen and
yeah. Oh, that's great. How do you do meals for that many people? Do people like, I'm doing tonight and like Aunt Betty's doing tomorrow? Like it's
We do. So like cheesesteaks we're big cheesesteak fans.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a place called I don't know if I should. Well, it doesn't matter.
No, you don't have to give away any.
Well, no, I'm like, I'm sure you feel the same. You're not going to be like giving away whatever, where you go and what's there. But my brother is obsessed. He says, we always need the night of the soup lineup. Okay. So there's a place, a classic seafood place where you can go to the takeout window, and it's like right on the water. There's all the lobster and this. It's like there, ready to go fresh. And we'll do that. Like we'll do a pickup from there one night, and we do a soup lineup. We get all their soups.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and everyone has their samplings. And
is there a soup that like no one takes any of? And it's like, why do we always get this one? Why do we get like the crab claw corn chowder?
Yeah, for sure. There's always like I need the spicy crab bisque, and all the kids are like, but why? And then I'll make a big pot of mac and cheese because the kids are like, I'm not eating that shit.
Right.
It's just like a smorgasbord of things. And like, I don't know, but it is when we all take turns, or like I'll treat, or there's like the most special little restaurant that the grownups, the parents, we're now the parents, get to go out to dinner, and the grandparents stay with the kids. And we go to this place, and it's so special. Still, like, it was like cash only for so many years. It's just all these special little things. But my favorite is what we do, and the kids still look forward to. We save our arcade cards. Across the street, there's like putt-putt. They all call it putt-putt. Out here, it's mini golf. I don't know.
Yeah. That is true.
East Coast thing, maybe? Or
we were mini golf.
That's true.
You were mini golf.
Yeah.
Okay.
Back when people were like, what do you want to be when you grow up? I always wanted to design mini golf courses. I wanted to be a mini golf course designer for like a huge stretch. When people were like, baseball player, astronaut, I was like, I want to design mini golf courses.
I don't think that dream has to die. I feel like...
Yeah. I don't know if there's like a real future in it.
So you putt-putt?
Putt-putt and arcade are across the street from each other. So it's like we do putt-putt, and then we go and go to the arcade, and the kids...
What's your game? What's your game in the arcade?
I'm a mean skee baller, I gotta say.
Oh, yeah.
It's the flick of the wrist. How about you guys?
Skee-ball's good.
You have a game?
Skee-ball's good.
It's good.
I loved off-road. I liked. There's like 4 steering wheels, and you drive around this. That I quite liked. And Rampage. Rampage I always liked as well.
Rampage.
And Miss Pac-Man.
Sure.
Classic.
See, I'm more about like getting the tickets, because the kids are super competitive like with getting the tickets. So I'm like at that grab machine just to get the tickets.
The claw machine.
The claw machine. Yes.
Yes. The claw machine is the worst thing that has ever been. I will shout out to Toy Story, which made the claw machine a wonderful plot point. But the claw machine is devastating. It's hopeless for the kids. But then we were recently at a trampoline park, and there was a claw machine to guarantee to win every time, and it was rubber duckies.
Yes,
And
I know
now
these well.
I just feel like this is why the next generation is going to be useless. The fact that they're getting guaranteed winners at a
They
claw
already
machine.
get participation awards for everything.
Yeah.
Participation.
Yeah, by the way, if you at a spelling bee spelled it participation, they'd still give you an award. That's the problem with kids these
I'd
days.
advance to the next round.
You'd go to the next round for close enough.
Yeah.
The rubber ducky of spelling bees. Yeah, it's true. They do have that. And part of me is like, oh, cool. Because then my daughter but I agree with you. But I do get competitive.
Do you ever pool tickets? Is there sort of anything that you guys like collectively are like, we're going to get this radio?
Absolutely not. They are all for them. Every man for themselves.
And what are they getting? Like, what kinds of things do they want? Like dumb little bracelets and dumb little toys, dumb little things that kids like.
Well, it's also like we have to travel back with all this crap, because
Right.
we don't live on the East Coast. And so my daughter's like, I want that big gumball machine. And I'm just like, we're not taking a gumball. Like, I understand. I will get you a gumball machine. We're not traveling with that. But she'll, stuffies. The amount of stuffies these kids have. Can we talk about this?
Oh my God. Also, let me tell you something. If you get a stuffy with skee ball tickets, that is a badly made stuffy.
That is for sure coming apart in your dog's intestines.
You are lucky if it comes apart in your dog's intestines and doesn't start a home fire.
I know. They really are.
Too many stuffies.
Too many stuffies.
I'll say stuffy is a word that's never sat well with me because it was always stuffed animals.
Yeah.
And I don't know when stuffies started.
Yeah, when did
Now,
that
how do you feel about
switch?
stuff? What do you feel about if we're gonna do putt, can we do stuff?
But you're right, because stuffed animals, there's many different creatures and things that are not necessarily animals that are stuffed.
Yeah, I suppose.
But I do prefer a stuffed animal.
I had a night last night, and again, I don't want to keep flexing over the fact that I had like 3 nights with my wife away, but got my boys to sleep. They have bunk beds, and last night my 5-year-old called me in 4 times because he couldn't find different stuffed animals. And that's the thing. He's adding to this roster, and I keep hoping, he'll get a new stuffy, and then one of them will fall off of importance. They all matter just as
I thought
much.
you were going to say a cliff.
Yeah. Well, I like when we retire a stuffy, I push them off a cliff, and I just say they're dead now. I feel
only
like
way
it's
to do
helpful. I want to learn. I want to teach them about the circle of life.
Life lessons.
We had a lot of stuffed animals.
We did,
Yeah.
but Axel was like, "Where's Commander?" I'm like, "You got to know where they are. You got to know where they are." And I'm like, "What am I doing?" Also, I'm trying to like get him to go to bed, and then I'm like, "It's not helpful for the last thing to be me like threatening them. Like, if you don't know where they are, we're gonna get rid of them." So that wasn't good.
I know, it always turns to that though. I feel like there's always that minute, like those few minutes before like you absolutely have to be asleep, where it just gets like very horrifically scary, or there's threats, and it's not the peaceful like lulling them to sleep as it should be. There's arguments, there's negotiations.
Yes.
It's all of it.
Axel now wants you to scratch his back. Then he wants you to scratch individual letters that he has to guess. And then he goes, just 3 more, just 2 more, do a hard one. L is too easy. And then at one point, again, this is just trying to like get him to like peacefully fall asleep. And it always ends with me being like, we're out of letters. So I can't do 4 more. We're out of
Letters
letters.
have been pushed off a cliff. They're dead.
They're dead. X is dead.
Right.
I think you should blindfold him and play a game where he has to identify his stuffed animals
By touch.
by touch. So then
Oh, that's a
that
good
could
one.
maybe solve your middle of the night problem.
Oh, that's a good one. I like that. Look at you actually being helpful. What's this? This is a new, I guess that must be your New Year's resolution, being helpful on the podcast.
Helpful uncle.
Uncle.
Hey, we're going to take a quick break and hear from some of our sponsors.
We're sponsored by Squarespace. Squarespace is the all-in-one platform for building your brand and growing your business online. Stand out with a beautiful website, engage with your audience, and sell anything your products, content you create, and even your time. Hey, Bashi.
Yes, Sufi.
You know, one of these days we're going to start selling our sweatshirts, our t-shirts, our hats, everything.
Our merch, our custom
Our
merch.
mugs, maybe even. And thanks to Squarespace, we can create a passive income stream that engages our audience and scales our brand. We can design products and production. Inventory and shipping are handled for us, saving time and money.
You know, they've got so many professional website templates with designs for every category and use case. You're always talking about use cases.
I'm always talking about use cases. I had no use for cases before Squarespace.
And you can customize your look, you can update content, you can add features to fit your unique needs.
Make your business a standout online with Squarespace on every device. Go to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, head to squarespace.com/trips to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. That's squarespace.com/trips to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.
Support for family trips comes from Fidelity.
If you're like me, you're not looking to work forever, so that means you need to start planning for retirement, which might seem daunting.
But with Fidelity, it's easy to start planning for retirement.
Fidelity helps you envision your future while focusing on both your short and long-term goals.
Fidelity will help you look at your full financial picture and help you create a plan to save effectively. A plan that helps you balance risk and reward based on your comfort level.
And once you have the actionable steps that will help you get to the future, you can stress less about it and enjoy more of life right now. It's what Fidelity calls the planning effect. And you can learn more about it at fidelity.com/planning effect.
Investment involves risk, including risk of loss. Advisory services provided by Fidelity Personal and Workplace Advisors, LLC, for a fee. Brokerage services by Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC.
Family Trips is supported by 8 Sleep. At this point, I'm sure you've heard of 8 Sleep. Their buzzworthy mattress cover called the Pod can be added to your existing mattress to automatically cool down or warm up each side of your bed and in turn, improve your sleep quality dramatically.
I'm a big fan of this thing, Suf. You put it on like a fitted sheet, and then you put your other sheets on, and then it just like, it's smart. It has these sensors that track your sleep and your health while you're sleeping. It changes the temperature over the course of the night, so you get better deep sleep, you get better REM sleep. I wake up to the toastiest, warmest bed. I don't even need to like set an alarm right now because I know when it gets warm, I'm ready to start my day. When I get into bed, it's the perfect temperature. Also, Mackenzie, my fiance, she's got a different temperature going on her side of the bed. She's got a different thing. So we each get exactly what we need from our bed every night.
Improve the way you sleep by using my link at 8sleep.com/trips for $200 off plus free shipping on their high-tech Pod 3 cover. That's 8sleep.com/trips for a better, smarter sleep.
Here we go.
I have a question about Night of the Soups, which I do feel like I want to just
back to
make
the soup lineup,
a new
yes.
tradition. Like,
Yeah.
So I had a summer thing, and I don't know if this has ever happened to you because obviously you have both a face and name that are recognizable. A couple summers ago, I had to go out and I went to a place. I ordered and picked up like 20 burgers for my wife's whole family. And walked in, it was me, it was my name, it was my face, and then I brought them back, and I will say, the burgers were overcooked. This is a fair assessment of the burgers I got for the whole family. I do sometimes think maybe this was not a restaurant that is making 20 at a time. So we maybe just, it was fine. But again, we're all eating them. And everybody, my wife's family, if they think food is overcooked, doesn't keep that close to the chest. That is
They don't just power through?
That's something shared with the group. Anyway, we're all eating it. And I'm like, fine, whatever. And then my mother-in-law comes out and goes, hey, I just want you to know, I called the restaurant and they said they're not going to charge us. And I said, Joanne, I go, you cannot do that on my behalf.
Oh my
And
God.
then she goes, I thought so. I thought it might have been a mistake. I'm so sorry.
Oh my God. You're like, I'm never going to this place again.
You can't do that. Like
No.
part of it is we just have to eat it.
Oh my
That's
God.
fine. We eat it.
Yeah, you eat it. You don't say
Yeah.
anything. They made
Right.
20 burgers. They don't normally do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's not their fault.
Or next time you call and you're like, hey, they were a little overdone last time.
Right.
So if you could just keep an eye
I
on
don't
that.
think
I'd
you ever do
appreciate
that
it.
either. Yeah, no.
I think, look, by the way, we go there all the time. It's a great restaurant. I, again, think it was just bad, but we can't be the people on my name
No,
to call.
sure can't. Have you gone back there since?
I have gone back there.
Okay.
And let me just say.
Everything's okay?
Well, it's okay because I am now tipping. Like, you can't believe. Like, what I said, just so you know, whatever you save me, it's going to be gone the next time I go. It's going to cost us thousands of dollars. The mistake you just made.
Absolutely. She has just driven it way up. So the other night I went out to dinner with friends that hadn't seen in a long time. There were 5 of us, and it's a place that like it's hard to get a table, and we were lucky enough, like they gave us a table. Like they kind of hooked us up, and that was so awesome. Okay. I felt like I have it made. And this place is not something really fancy, so it's kind of funny that like the hookup at this place was the best thing that's ever happened to me.
I get it. It's more cool than fancy, which is better.
Yes. And I don't even know if you call the place cool, but whatever. So we got there and we wound up sitting there for like 3 hours, okay? Because we hadn't seen each other. There's 5 girls. It's like our only night out. And after 3 hours, a man in a chef's jacket came up to the table and was like, ladies, I'm so happy you are enjoying yourselves and having a nice time. There are only a certain amount of tables we have for 5 people. And would you mind moving your party maybe to the bar or the patio? And I was like, oh my God. Like I was mortified. Okay. I felt so bad. I was the same. I was like, oh my God, I can never come back to this place again. I have fully overstayed my welcome. We are now being asked, which I don't know if that's ever happened before, but like asked to leave the table. I don't know that I can go back.
But I think if he did it kindly and you were like, oh, yes, of course, then I think you can go back there. Absolutely.
I'm such a sensitive person, though, that I'm like, oh my God, like I'm a rule abider, and I have broken the rule. I have totally overstayed my welcome. I can never show my face here again.
Yeah.
I will say, here's my takeaway from this. And both of you guys can use this. Because have you ever been at a restaurant where you can tell your table's almost ready, but they're taking too long?
Yes.
Like it's... let's just, for lack of a better term, let's call it the Bilson party. So sometimes you're waiting for the Bilsons. Here's what I'm going to start doing. I'm going to start bringing a chef's jacket with me, putting it on, and just walking over and saying, I'm so sorry if you could just, because I feel like, no, that's the move. It's just,
I
if
don't
you
know
got a
that
chef's
you
jacket.
can do that, which is just, goes to like what we're talking about here. I don't know that you can get away with that, but you could
You're
try.
right. I would need somebody else in my party to do it. But I will say, the part of it that would stress me out, because I'm with you 100%, Rachel. Even though I don't feel like you did anything wrong, I would have the same anxiety of, I should have sensed this before. The fact that the chef had to do it, that's the part I could never. They literally went to the top guy.
They went
and
to
said, you gotta
the
go,
Godfather.
you gotta leave the kitchen.
They did. And he came. And do you want to know how fast I shot up out of that booth, you guys?
Yeah.
He wasn't even done talking. And I was like, we're out of here. We're good. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I've had a great time and I appreciate everything. It will never return.
I will sometimes do the same thing where you get a pull at a table, and I'll bring maybe my wife and her sister, who I love both of them, but we'll sit down and I will just watch them clock whether or not it's a table they like. And I will just say, stop it. Stop it. I know what you're doing. We're not. This is good. Everything about this is good.
Yeah. No. There's no...
What makes a table that they like? Is it easier for them to look at their phones?
Yeah, they like they like good phone light. Ideally, if it's the 3 of us, they're looking for a 2-top, and then I go to the bar. Not so they can talk, but so they can both silently look at their phone.
I do wonder, though, with people like, what makes it a bet? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm also a people pleaser, you guys. So I'm totally the one that's like, thank you so much. I will sit by the bathroom.
Yeah. I think we're the same way. If we've overstepped or if any request that is made of the venue of us, I think we're pretty quick to oblige.
Yeah.
I want to get back to the Jersey Shore real quick because you got all these people together. Do you play any collective games?
We do.
And what are your games?
So Monopoly started last year and I was like, you guys, and I can't, it was like specific, how they have Monopoly to like specific places now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they got that. They thought that was super cool. And it's just never ends.
It never ends. And people get their feelings hurt.
It's too much. Yeah. It's like, you guys.
And it's also like now in my life when I have a mortgage, it's a whole different game. Like you play
It's
Monopoly
painful.
and you're like, I can't pay the mortgage. I need to take out a second loan on Mediterranean. I should be able to pay for this, and I can't. And I'm sinking, and I'm going under. I played one game of proper Monopoly recently, and I was like, this game's awful.
It's awful.
Also that feeling where it's like, I used to own a railroad. How did this happen?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Flying high.
Oh God, it's really depressing. You're making me look at my life.
Yeah.
But no, well, we've busted out Battle of the Sexes, which is funny because I don't know if you guys have ever played that game.
No.
That was kind of before when the kids were a little younger and they weren't really kind of in tune with it. Sleeping Queens. Do you guys know Sleeping Queens?
Sleeping
That's
Queens
a great kid
is
game.
a great game.
We love that. Lots of card games. And always on the porch. There's like a proper porch around the house. And they're playing speed and spit and learning all the things. And
Oh, great.
yes, that is super fun. There's a puzzle. There's always a puzzle taking up the entire dining room table. And it drives my aunt absolutely insane. Because she's like, there's nowhere to eat.
Yeah, but does the puzzle act as sort of a hub? Do you just find yourself sitting there chatting? Like,
Yeah, there's definitely one. My cousin's husband is definitely the professional puzzler. So he's always there. But then, people will come in and out as they just pass through the dining room. Sometimes you'll, add a piece or two. You feel like you've accomplished so much.
Who's the pro puzzler, did you say?
My cousin's husband, my oldest cousin's husband.
Do they use a spatula?
I'm sorry, what?
I have a friend who's part of a puzzling group, and I know of some friends
part
that
of
are
a puzzling group, by the way.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay.
They get together. This is like people whose like names you would know. They get together and they puzzle. So don't look down your nose at puzzle.
I love a puzzle.
Yeah,
I'm a huge
same.
puzzler.
I just want to let the group know I will continue to look down my nose, but proceed.
But there are these if you get a large spatula, it is a great way to pick up a whole piece of the puzzle so you can move it in front of you. And I'm going to focus on this, and then you can transport it again. And I have bought these, they're it's not the size of a pizza peel, but it's just
I'm thinking they need to make specific puzzle spatulas that are.
It's kind of out there, and I've on Amazon, I've given a couple to puzzling people, and they're always like, "This is amazing."
This is amazing because they have pancake spatulas. Because I'm always like, why is the spatula not big enough to be the size of a pancake to flip it? And it exists. I feel like that would fare well in the puzzling group as well.
Absolutely, maybe that's what I'm buying, but I've only used it for puzzles, never for pancakes.
I would say the worst thing that could happen to me is if I went over to a house, saw one of those, and said, "Oh my God, are we making pizza?" And they were like, "No, it's so much worse. We're doing a puzzle that's so big we got to move sections around."
That is such a good tip, though. I'm going to use it because I do puzzle.
Or just buy one for your cousin's husband.
Yeah, that's a really nice thing. God. I mean, everybody's always, they say the hardest person to shop for is your cousin's husband. Now Josh is giving you the perfect gift.
But he's also the guy you want. So we did our first escape room with the kids, or with at least my daughter's first last year on our family trip. We definitely brought the Puzzle Pro because that mind, and we escaped.
Now, how is a 9-year-old in an escape room? I would think that might be the lower threshold of what could enjoy an escape room.
Oh my God, she talks about doing one all the time. See, what the problem is though, we started so high because we had the Puzzler Pro.
Yeah.
And we had people that were very good at these kind of things. So it's totally screwed her expectations. So I don't know that we'll ever escape again if it's just me.
Right.
Basically is the issue. She loved it so much. She was so into it that it's all she wants to do. It's pretty sweet.
They're fun.
Yeah.
I like them.
They are fun. Mind-boggling.
All right. You've been wonderful. And now, if you don't mind,
yes,
Josh is going to ask you some questions. This, by the way, you are exactly as good a podcast guest as I thought a podcast host would be. Just A+. Start to finish.
Thank you so much. Whew, I'm still sweating.
All right. Well, you got a little ways to go. I got some easy questions. This isn't too hard. You can only pick one. Is your ideal vacation relaxing, adventurous, or educational?
Definitely not educational. Can that be my answer?
Okay.
I like how quickly, no shame in just poo-pooing the idea of education.
What is your favorite means of transportation? Train, plane, automobile?
An RV.
An RV.
Great.
Yeah.
Great answer.
All right.
Yeah.
How often do you roll around in an RV?
Never.
Well.
But it's what I want to do.
Yeah, goals. Put it out there. If you could take a vacation with any family other than your own, fictional, they could be alive or dead, which family would you like to take a family vacation with?
I mean, I want to go with Mormor and Cisco, obviously.
They're
but
Not a bad choice.
if I could go with Larry David, that would be my top tier.
Oh, that's really good.
Okay.
So you really want to go on vacations with people who don't like vacations.
I just need it. I need it in my life.
If you had to be stranded on a desert island with one member of your family, who would it be?
Oh, God. Who's going to keep us alive? That's really the question. I'm going to pick my kid because, like, I can't be away from my kid. And honestly, I think she could keep us alive better than myself.
Yeah. And maybe it's really nice. Maybe you have everything that you need there and you're just going to exist.
That's what I'm picturing. Like, we're just living off, into the sunset together.
Maybe it's not even such a survival thing. It's just like, hey, this is
It's a
where we
choice.
live now. Yeah.
Yeah.
And are you from Los Angeles proper?
The Valley, to be specific. I grew up in the Valley, yes, of Los Angeles.
Can you be more specific, or do you not want to be?
Oh, yeah, like North Hollywood, Sherman Oaks.
Okay. Would you recommend North Hollywood or Sherman Oaks as a vacation destination?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Thank for your speed.
All right. Very good. And Seth.
Last question. I'm so
Yes.
excited to ask you, Rachel. Have you ever been to the Grand Canyon?
Oh, my God, no.
Uh-oh. I'm worried based on how you answered that I know the next half. Do you want to go?
This is what I want to do. I'm going to tell you guys. Not only do I want to go in my RV, I want to do the river rafting in it.
In the RV?
It's a whole new concept. Bear with me.
I very much want to go. Seth has been poo-pooing the Grand Canyon.
I can tell by how you phrased the second part of your question that you are not interested.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you know what? I appreciate that not only do you want to go, but you have a specific desire for things to do there.
Oh, yeah. I don't want to just go look at it. Like,
I think people who their goal is to look at it are the ones who are suckers and, wasting a trip. But I have a little bit of enthusiasm and optimism for your plan.
thank you. I appreciate that.
I hope you
I've
get
had
it
it for
done.
a long time. We'll see if I get there.
Well, Rachel, we cannot thank you enough for your time, your lovely stories.
Thank you, guys. This was so much fun.
Yeah, thank you. This was great.
Awesome.
All
We'll
right.
see you soon.
Bye.
Safe travels.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
When Rachel Bilson turned 6 years old, had a star-studded birthday all the way up in Jackson Hole. Ernie Hudson and Louis Anderson both showed up. Richard Belzer provided some yucks. Her dad was shooting a movie as well as pics of her mom's butt. Now, every year she goes to the Jersey coast. Kids sleep in the attic with Victorian ghosts. My mom said a club sandwich would always do, but you need more food with such a big group. So what do? You order a lineup of soups. A lineup of soups.